Okay, so this is an analogy that I really like. Pretty much everything I've said and I'm going to say for these 10 parts is from that book, Brain Over Brawn. This is probably my favorite part of it. And basically, what it says is let's say tomorrow you wake up in a prison cell, and every so often a plate of food is delivered through like a slit in the door. So maybe once every 3 days, rarely it'll come in twice a day, sometimes once in several weeks, and the food is almost always bland. Once in a while, though, you get something like really tasty. And obviously, if you eat everything all at once, you'd starve pretty quickly soon after that. So you would begin instinctively rationing the food to ensure your survival. So whatever spoils the quickest would be eaten first, and you would reserve the other foods that don't go bad as quickly, and you'd eat as sparingly as possible, not knowing if you'll ever be released from this cell that you randomly woke up in. But then, out of nowhere, one day a truck rolls up, and it has like this huge shipment of all sorts of like food: candies, nuts, turkeys, eggs, cakes, breads, etc. You'd be absolutely dumbstruck. Is this going to be the last shipment for a long time? What if you eat with no concern and then there's never another shipment? Would you waste in excess or ration and cling to what could be your last meals? And throughout this whole ordeal, your body is burning fuel as efficiently and sparingly as possible, and all of that is a result of evolution. Bodies with inefficient design would die off along with the slow and the weak. And the only thing balancing that nutrient hoarding behavior is staying strong and lean enough to survive competition, say like other prisoners or something. So that's how our ancestors survived, by having bodies that rewarded taking in as much food as possible. And as a result, our bodies today are very, very energy efficient. The downside to that is that it triggers an erroneous approval when we eat foods that are high in calories but without any real nutritional content. The French fry is a good example of that. It's basically just a carbohydrate that's been fried in fat. And that kind of food is stored in your body. If it's not used immediately, it's just stored and there's no real benefit to it. It's just excessive basic fuel. And that's not what you want. You want like turbo fuel. And thankfully, now that this truck rolled up, we have endless choices of food to brew into like a powerful mix that our bodies can burn purely. So it might seem that evolution is working against us in a sense, but our bodies are actually very adaptable. A diet full of fattening foods means that just average foods would taste bland. But on the flip side of that, if you clean up your diet with foods that are naturally more bland, average foods become vivid and delicious. Now, getting back to the whole survival aspect of that, we are genetically supposed to be fit and strong as a way to fend off predators and secure food. And it also increases a person's level of attraction, thus improving the likelihood of procreation if you're more attractive. Getting fit also makes you feel good. It releases endorphins, which are like chemicals that make you happy. So that's kind of your body's way of saying, I approve of this exercise because it gives you this. It's more commonly called like runner's high, but it's like a drug-like effect that takes place when you're working out. So if you want to get a good buzz, you could always work out. But then some people do restrict their diets for legitimate reasons. There's vegetarianism, veganism for like animal rights, or certain religions say that you shouldn't eat certain foods. But even still, there's a way to adapt to that and use alternative sources to make up for those areas of a diet. This is very different from fad diets that totally shun an entire like blanket of foods, like a no carb diet or like a low fat diet. Those are very extremist, unnecessary, and potentially bad for you. It's not really about the content of the food, but more so what foods you eat with it and how much it's been processed before it gets to you. Other fad diets might make you follow like a specific cookbook, which could take like a lot of preparation and isn't very realistic, or something like a Weight Watchers diet where they tell you to eat like just their products, they could always change the price of the food or the variety. So it kind of makes it creates a few variables that are really out of your control. So the best way to approach a healthy nutritional change in your diet is to analyze what you already eat, determine what's best for you, what you can modify, and what must absolutely go. So I'm going to pause there, and next I'm going to get into reading a nutrition label.